Code Chapter 551, State of Texas Open Meetings Act. Audio video conferencing notice pursuant to Governor Abbott's temporary suspension of open meetings laws issued on March 16, 2020. This meeting will be conducted via audio video teleconference, which will be viewable for the public to review. The public may access this meeting using the following link: https://www.youtube.com/UCRXT/GOMJ37S60FW3-TNHOAG/. An electronic copy of the agenda may be viewed at the following link: www.oeisd.org. A video of the meeting will be available for viewing on the district's website after the meeting. Public comments may be provided by email to the board as described below. Okay, Mr. Brewer, would you care to read us in the invocation, please?
Dear God, we're so thankful for yet another opportunity we have to gather together and to look after the affairs of this district. We pray that we are granted the wisdom needed to help this district continue to teach these young children to the best of our ability to grow into young adults and then to be community leaders as time is at time that they're able. Lord, we do pray that you would be with this country and this world as we deal with this pandemic, and we pray that you would continue to be with those who are responding to it, the first responders, and keep them healthy as they continue to help those who are hurting. Lord, we're thankful for so many blessings that are in our lives. We do thank you for this opportunity here. In Jesus Christ's name we pray.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Okay, we have two audience participations this evening. The first one is from Mrs. Stacy Frerick, dated March 11th, 2020. OESD board members, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today. I would like to address the line item M as in Mike on the agenda. We have been part of OEISD for 7 years with our two children. As our daughter now graduates, we would like to thank past and present teachers, coaches, and librarians for treating our children as their own and making sure their education and emotional well-being were a prime goal. Recently, we had grievances level 1, 2, and 3 on behalf of our daughter for discrepancies in transcripts. We were utterly shocked to have learned how many mistakes have been made for years, made at all grade levels, and even differences between boys and girls. These were all shared by an administrator at our level 3 grievance public hearing, where the audio can be heard on the district's website. It was shared with us as if it was such a heroic effort. This saddened us deeply because no emotion was given of how this affected so many students. Yes, mistakes were made, but this affected students with their choices for future schedules that would change class rank, top 10%, admission to colleges, scholarships awarded, and not to mention the emotional distress of realizing the trust they had in the audits helping were shattered. After the called board meeting on May 7th, we finally learned only a few answers to our questions that have been asked since February 26th regarding supposed GPA committee existence. We are suggesting at this time that the school board assist administrators in developing a formal procedure for creating a formal GPA committee with structured timelines and objectives to stop the haphazard audits that have occurred with an unbelievable number of mistakes missed. We propose to include faculty who would assist the current 2 members that we just learned make up the committee. It was shared that more people are not included in the committee because of confidentiality. This comment is odd since all faculty must abide by FERPA laws. This is not a valid excuse. 2 to 3 more sets of eyes only assist confirming the accuracy of the data input. The 2 current administrators on the committee are 2 who input the data. The only way to check accuracy is to have more people involved. We also suggest that the audits for all grade levels be held annually for freshmen and sophomores, and 3 times a year for juniors and seniors. It is unacceptable for an audit to occur mid-January of a senior's last semester with so many corrections made to transfer grades, summer school grades, athletic grades, coding errors, credit errors, duplicate course numbers, course coded as local when they are not, and the list goes on as described at the May 7th board meeting by the high school administrator. We hope the board will oversee the development of a GPA committee and audit procedure for all grade levels. This directly affects students' ability to graduate by having correct course credits and students' ability to be admitted to universities with correct GPAs and class ranks. Please give OISD students due justice in making their transcripts a priority so the injustices that have happened to so many students this semester and years past never happen again. Thank you, Stacy Frederick. Okay, the second one is from Mr. Toby Frederick. Good evening, OEISD Board of Trustees. I'm addressing agenda item M as in Mike, future agenda topics. I would like to address the format of a level 3 grievance hearing which could occur at some point in the future. At our hearing on May 7th, it was announced by Board President we would be given 10 minutes to present our case. Because we are not given a time limit prior to the meeting, I asked for additional time and the President graciously allowed us additional 10 minutes. The question I would like to ask the board is, why were we not informed of the time limit for our presentation before the meeting? We requested an email 3 days prior to the hearing what format would be, and were told the format in the meeting is similar. In level 1 and level 2 hearings, we were given up to a total of 25 minutes for each. Not giving us the time limit prior to the meeting put us at a disadvantage. We have prepared statements to be under the 25-minute time limit we were given in level 2. Once we realized our presentation was going to be over the limit, we then had to rush through our prepared statements. This also left no time for a 2-minute rebuttal following the district's presentation. Again, putting us at a disadvantage to give rebuttal which would have cleared up evidence given by the district. This could have all been easily remedied if we had been given the time limit before the meeting. It was obvious from the district's lawyer's comments she and the district knew in advance about the time limit. When I asked for additional time, her comment was level 3 is much shorter. FNG local policy only states reasonable time limits. By comparison, BED local states the public comment should not exceed 3 minutes per meeting. Clarifying FNG local presentation formats with time limits would be extremely helpful. It would only seem fair for parents and students presenting agreements to be given the same opportunity as the district presenter. It was obvious the district was prepared for the correct time limits. My daughter worked extremely hard on her presentation, and to have the board cut her prepared statement off in mid-sentence was extremely disappointing. She has given 4 years of her life to OHS. The least the board could have done was given her the additional 30 seconds she needed to finish. Again, if we had known the time limit prior to the meeting, we would have prepared statements accordingly and not put our daughter in this awkward position. I would like to request the board clearly give the format and time limit beforehand for level 3 grievances in the future. Just like myself, most parents have never been in a grievance process, so the entire process is unfamiliar. I know the board strives to be transparent, but I feel we're not given the proper information prior to level 3 hearing to be fully prepared. Thank you, Toby Frederick. Okay, item A, discussion of possible action to consider reorganization of school board officers. That would be me. Okay, so usually after an election, which we didn't have an election this year because of obvious reasons, we usually shuffle up the board, the officer positions, president, vice president, and secretary. My opinion right now, this is up for everybody's discussion. We're not voting on this, right? Or we are voting on this potentially. Right now, I don't think it's a good idea to switch just yet. I would say we hold off till the November elections. After that, maybe once everything kind of smooths out as far as the response to COVID-19 or the direction that the TEA is going to send the district. That's just my 2 cents. But there's 6 other folks on the board. What do you guys think?
We have to do it, when we have an election, we have to do it within so many days of the election. So typically, that's why we've always stayed within the month of May. Sometimes we've reorganized when we didn't have an election, sometimes we do. Years past, I'm talking about years past, like prior to my being on the board, which is a long time ago, they just did it every year. So everybody rotated through. But I have no care one way or the other. But if you do it to November, if you did it in November, then you're gonna turn around and have to do it again in May.
In May, yeah.
You have to do it in May. That's law. So typically we stayed within just May. Now whether we do it now, there's no requirement this May to do it. And you can do it every month if you want, but you have to do it after the May election. It's a requirement.
I'm good waiting till May myself.
Yeah. I'm good with May.
Whoever your new board members are.
And my thing is, I mean, it's just a title. I mean, nobody holds more power than the other one around here, so.
No.
Just running the meeting.
Yeah, so I'm good with it.
One more time.
I'd like to give. Do we vote on this now? Do we wait till after? Do we have to make a motion?
Make a motion that we don't do anything till next May, how about that?
Okay, do I have a motion?
I'll motion to keep the organization of the school board officers the same
Okay, is there a second?
until May elections,
Okay.
the upcoming May elections.
2021.
2021.
Is there a second?
That.
Second made, or motion made by Max Moreno, second made by Mr. Brewer. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. Item B, discussion of possible action to consider approval of board meeting minutes for the River School Board meeting of April 20th, 2020. Everybody had a chance to look over their packets?
So moved.
Any questions? Okay, motion made by
Second.
Mr. Watley, second by Mrs. Vargas. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item C, COVID-19 school closure update and discussion regarding possible graduation ceremony options. Mrs. Carr.
The last time we met, the governor hadn't given permission to have outdoor graduations or meetings, so I had approached Judge Krebs, and who had given permission for us to have one, kind of the same guidelines that TEA put out later. But now the governor has said we can, and TEA has given guidelines. I just wanted your input on what you think as far as they are requiring that we have a cap of people, no more than 5 people per family. Of course, it could be less if you want. Everyone must follow the guidelines. People have to be screened. Whatever we do for graduation needs to be one event versus there isn't a separate meeting for awards like we do every year. So, you know, during graduation, some of those things would need to be taken care of. Of course, the social distancing, 5-6 feet apart, away. The family groups can stay together, but it would require quite a bit of planning, you know, in the stadium seating and things like that. It says to limit school employees in the ceremony to a minimum, but if you read further down, the employees are the ones who are supposed to help monitor whether the audience is stays in compliance with the 6 feet distancing. So we're thinking that would require the majority of the high school staff. Okay. We have 58 seniors. If we do the maximum of 5 per family, that gives you 290 total people just in the audience, plus our seniors, 30 staff members from the high school, and then administration. We would contact police. We have to have maintenance custodial present. So we're looking at about 400 to 450 people. Okay, that's not with the band present. You know, that was a consideration, but it would be about 400 people. About half in the stands, the other half on the field. The kids seated 6 feet apart, and everybody else. What do y'all think? Do you think? I know I've got some comments back from some people about. I think it is important that we have a graduation for these kids. They've had nothing else to celebrate.
What did they have to say? I mean, what was their comments, the students?
The students, I've invited Mr. Bowers, he's the one that met with them. They were kind of excited at the possibility of having it. They thought it just wasn't going to happen at all. Their concern was having their family members there, and so having as many as possible was best. And so they talked about the possibility of moving the date if it would help with including more of their family. I don't know that that's a reality, that anything would change. This is pretty definite about the 5. I don't know if the middle of June they would increase that. I don't think they will, but You know, we were scheduled for the 29th, which is a day that we can have the outdoor ceremonies. I don't know what you think, if the date's still a good day.
My opinion, I think we go to June and see if it gets better. I mean, we're gonna do it, say we do it in June, and to me, I was looking at, I had the date just a second ago, 19th or 26th, no matter when.
Yes.
Somewhere around there, and then we have it, this is my opinion, I'll jump in here, but, in the hopes that we can have more than 5 people, but at the very least, 5 people of each family can be there.
Can we handle 5 people with spacing?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
We usually have the home side filled up. We'd be using both sides, right? Are we setting up the graduates in the end zone facing north?
We don't have the audio for that.
So we couldn't connect the stadium audio, or
No.
couldn't use the stadium audio?
We're talking about socially distancing 58 groups of people
Just on home side?
on one side, which is
Or-
2,000 seats.
Because
which
you gotta
is-
realize, it's gonna be sitting 5 people within 6 feet, but then we're gonna have to skip a row, aren't we, as well?
Yes.
It's gonna be a
Yes.
couple. It's gonna be
Yeah, a couple of rows, so,
It's going to be.
given
all-
that, we should still
yes,
be able to handle it.
Yes.
But even that, I mean, we could come up with anything for speakers, people rent speakers, there's opportunities there, we don't have to just stick with what we have, right?
So,
If we wanted to spread it out even more, we can do that. I know it's not in the plans now, but
yes.
I wouldn't want to I wouldn't want to put people on the visitor side, because that would be like being in an easy bake oven. You're gonna stare into the sun, and it will be vicious over there. You maybe would want to put people around the field kind of thing before you put people in the visitor stands.
you could wait a little late, dinner at the lights.
Yeah,
Yeah. that's another-
start at 8:30.
Another thing is, the further you go into June, the hotter it gets.
Yeah.
Humidity, but, you know, the kids did want that consideration if there was a possibility that they could have more of their family members there, that May 29th didn't mean as much as having more of their family members there, and so, but,
We have to let them, that's not a guarantee though.
It's not a
yes,
guarantee.
yes, and, you
But
know,
we
I
do need to
think,
pick a date, right, and stick with it.
and Mr. Bowers, I don't know if you wanna join the conversation, but, you know, did mention that to them, there's no guarantee, and they've not given us any indication that they're gonna increase.
Our senior class officers were very understanding about the current situation as a whole, and what they advocated for is perfect world scenario, like if they could have anything, they would be willing to postpone their graduation, but with the intent to have as many people as possible, whether that's 1 of the 5 or whatever that number looks like. I said that I would definitely, you know, advocate for them and show it to y'all that that's what they asked for. But in that conversation, we did talk about, just because we extend the graduation date, there's no guarantee that number will change. And they understood that as well, and said that at least having a graduation with their family there was very important to them.
So we also don't know if everything can revert back to what the way it was.
It could, yeah.
Which could be worse.
If you work against
Then we have nothing.
Yes.
Right, I mean, June, I think you said this at the last meeting, June 1st is like the magic number, you know, because it could go one way or the other.
As of now, we're good for our current graduation date with at least no
Yes,
more
sir.
than 5.
Yes.
Can, and like I said, I say this in all jest, I think kids and the parents that are involved should ultimately be as much involved as we can. But do we have to set a date tonight? Can we, you know, this Friday is another milestone. You know, we may learn more after this week from the governor, say on Monday. And then at that point, after this Monday, then go with a hard and fast date. I don't know, that's just a suggestion. I like I said, I don't have a kid graduating, it breaks my heart that it's ending like this, but I think after whatever Friday is, it's Friday the 18th, 15th, whatever it is, that's the next milestone that they wanted to see where numbers were at the end of this week. So I assume the governor will speak a week from today.
Can we plan for, like, just in case,
Have 2 dates?
have 2 dates, let's plan for the original
How big a
date?
headache is that for you, Mr. Bowers, to have 2 dates?
If we were going to wait until the next milestone to release more information, I think at least being able to say, by tomorrow morning that, right now our primary date is May 29th. However, this Friday, we will be able to make a decision if it's May 29th or going to be June 26th. And so at least this week, if we can give parents, it's either going to be day, we would like it to be day, but on Friday, we'll get more information and we'll be able to decide between A and B, but letting them know what the.
Here's A and B.
is.
Yeah.
Like I said, I wouldn't try to outguess the politician, but they really talked about this. This Friday was it was 2 weeks after they lessened the restrictions that they wanted to see where the numbers were.
So I personally say May 29th is out of the question at this point. I think it's too late for those who are wanting people to travel. I think everybody's been too scared and really just didn't think it would happen. So people have, I think they can't, I know people have canceled hotels. I think they've canceled flights as well. That's me personally.
I just don't wanna get caught flat-footed.
Yeah.
Get caught that they're gonna go to work, go back.
Yeah, if they pull it,
I don't think they will, but
and then
that's
June
still
says we
possible.
can't do anything, then that's what would really worry me. I mean, I don't see a problem with planning for the 29th, gearing up, and if it does restrict, then we know we have everything ready for June.
But Benji's right, we gotta give people a chance to travel too. It's tough, I mean, there's no crystal ball here on this one, that's for sure.
So if we decide on a date tonight for the 29th, that gives the high school 3 weeks. If we wait another week, we almost need to push it back because it's a lot of work
Yeah.
to set up and things like that, so.
Who all has seniors besides you, Benji? You have some?
I got nieces.
I mean, what's you guys got feeling?
It's a weird year.
You know, I was excited about the 28th, but as we get closer and think of other things, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I know a lot of the kids. I mean, we heard it from their letter. They want to push it to June or sometime later than the original date to give that time. But I don't know. And kind of unrelated. We're still planning on streaming this, right?
I'm just afraid that time's not gonna give you any more than 5 people. That's what I'm.
June? Yeah. But it might,
But it might.
and you're right, there's a risk, but it's a small risk, I think, that it goes the other way.
What I read today, what's happening in the Panhandle, was the first time scared me. They're having major outbreaks in the Panhandle.
Oh,
The sheriff of Dukes County died, or not, the county seat died of COVID today. That's scary to me.
It's like we could plan for June, have a contingency date of the 29th.
I'd say this, if it is worse,
May
we
not have
shouldn't
it at
be,
all.
right, maybe we shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah?
So rushing to do it ahead of time, if it's worse, that's not a really good idea either, right?
Like I said, I wanna make it possible that we can get these kids together. If you guys think that's the best date, then I'm all for it.
Now, the handing out the diplomas, how would you go about that?
What TA's guidance says, as long as administrators are wearing gloves, anyone handling the diplomas wearing gloves, and then the kid, of course, will take it, won't be wearing gloves, but
There'd be no shaking hands or anything like
no.
that.
We'll have hand sanitizer up there anyways, just to, it's odd, but as they walk up, just hit it as they come up the stage, just.
And then we have to
Precaution.
remember we've taught our kids to greet people,
Yep.
so it.
Oh, yeah, it's tough when somebody.
Oh, it's hard for me, every day.
And,
It is hard.
they require a cap and a number cap, and that we're gonna have to figure out the screening process. Elizabeth said, I inquired with her, a question mark had asked about, possible liability of, we could get sued for anything.
Right.
But we do need to have a disclosure at the bottom of our screening form and how those screening forms go out, tickets go out. we're going to have to get with Mr. Rash and Coach Huerta to kind of help us figure out where everybody
Stadium.
seats, you know, the sitting and things like that. So they'll be involved in that, and then it's a one-time shot. So we want to make sure that we, during the presentation, that we acknowledge that so-and-so was all-state academic honors, and, you know, they're going to this university and they've gotten their scholarship, because there isn't a separate ceremony for any of that, you know, valedictorian, salutatorian, any of that. There is no other event. It's a one-time shot. And so the ceremony will be a little longer than it generally is, but it gives us a chance to celebrate the kids. And we definitely need a plan coming in and going out, so it doesn't become a
Yeah, what
hang
you
out
do
at the
afterwards.
stadium for 2 more hours. And of course involve law enforcement, but
Just
make
what
sure
you
we're in
named, it
compliance.
seems like a lot to do in 3 weeks.
It is, but a lot of it we've already been planning behind the scenes just in case. It's just a general process of graduation. But if it's a week from now when we're thinking it's a go, then it's kind of gets complicated and messy.
We have plans for May 29th.
Yes,
But
yes.
even up to Flowers, which are really the only ones that have the biggest long range impact on board.
And you know, we might have kids that choose not to participate. They might have a parent at home, or they might have been ill themselves, and, you know, they choose not to. And so we would make accommodations for them, somehow get them into maybe as a trailer on the live stream, or, you know, still leave their seat open, announce their name, you know, acknowledge that they too graduated, and make it somehow validating for them as well. And so, but, you know, we've been planning for the 29th since we learned that we possibly could. And so moving it into June just gives us more time, but it's still doable on the 29th. But, you know, it just kind of, things change so much. I'm afraid if we wait too far into June that we may not have a ceremony at all, and we're back in the same situation.
You look at the projections though, that's not the way it's turning, right? The projections, when you look at the science, right, that they've done, it's not looking that it goes the other way. It actually gets better as the month goes. That's a one-off there. I hadn't heard about the panhandle, but you look at a couple websites.
Oh, I think you can find data both ways. I think
Yeah.
eventually we just gotta say, hey, here's the horse we're gonna ride, we're gonna ride that horse. And if it's 16th or whatever, then that's, we go with it.
So if we did 2 dates, May 29th, and then set a date in June, when do we need to cancel the 29th? In a week? 2?
We just, you know, maybe we don't learn anything next week. Maybe we just need to make a decision tonight
Right.
and put our foot down and say, hey, this is, we're all our chips are in, and if it turns against us, it's just life. I mean, it's crazy the way life is this year.
At that point, I just, no choice but virtual.
Sitting there second guessing, we're all trying to play, none of the models have got it right, so I'm pretty sure none of us are gonna get it right either. So maybe we need to say that 16th, hedge on time and go on.
Most of the graduation postings that I've seen around here have been for the 12th.
19th.
June 12th. It seems to be a very popular date for surrounding districts, and just where we've researched different districts and what they're doing. Many have chosen June 12th as their graduation date.
Other
Just-
local schools?
Uh-huh.
We might wanna stick with that date, because if if people do travel and it gets worse after the 12th, we might get stuck not having something, so. I mean,
So maybe not up until the 12th, maybe,
The 13th, on Saturday.
13th or Saturday. Either way, we need to get information out to parents. I think the worst. we
Yeah,
can
I think we
do-
ought to really make a decision
Yeah.
personally.
Yeah, I think it's too late for the 29th, to be honest with you, for some people. I know we said that last week, we're just gonna stick with the 29th, but I don't think anybody really believed we would. And I think
We can pick another number, as long as we go with it, we need to get information, you know, district information, and then the planning, tickets and packets and, how you, you know, just make sure those are proper and disclosed, and then assign seats, and, the more the public knows about it, the better it'll go. And
So, I would
there's
say
no practice.
you have to still plan for 5, but hope for more, right? So, we still need to plan for the 5, even though it's on a later
Yes.
date, and that's what we did, right?
Yes, sir.
Back to my other question, we are streaming still, right? Are we still gonna try to work that option for folks that cannot
Yes.
be here outside of the 5?
Yes.
Now, the screening process, what's the criteria? What happens if they're over?
There's quite a bit of what's listed. What we're doing with employees is they fill out a form, where have they been, have you had any symptoms? We take their temperature. It's going to take a lot of work to get people into the stadium. And the guidelines is they come in as a group, they leave as a group. And so, I mean, we're going to have staff checking temperatures, packets, making sure that a group only has 5, that we have them distanced. And then the exit process is the same, they exit in groups.
They should all show up together, I would think, no staggered people in their 5 group.
Yes,
Or
it
just-
says they're required, and then we need our employees to be able to host and make sure that they go sit where they're supposed to. And how we're going to sort who sits where is,
I think that's the drawing, the
The
random number drawing, or that'd be the only fair way to do it.
and so, yeah, I mean, if we go into June, it gives us more time, plus it gives the kids what they wanted, the hope for
The
more.
potential for more people.
We could plan for 5, and if for some reason we are given more, then we give out more tickets and handle it that way.
Right now, we'll do it either way, it's just right now, my thing is, we're guaranteed graduation on the 29th.
Yes, sir.
There's always that chance, I mean, there's nothing, but
We had no idea leaving that we wouldn't be back after spring break, so.
So that's my biggest hurdle is not being guaranteed anything outside the 29. That's my big one.
I don't think you're hearing anything on the 29th either. Today, they say that, and if something happens from now and then, they'll stop it, right? And that's what they should. I don't think you're guaranteeing anything. That's what we should learn from this, I mean, nothing else. We're not guaranteed anything.
And of course, you know, we always have a backup plan, Plan B. Our Plan B is always, if we can't have it in the stadium, to do it in the gym. Well, that's not an option. And so it would have to be virtual. of some
Well, that's the
sort.
thing too, what if there's a severe thunderstorm that day, what would happen?
We can delay or do it the following day.
I would almost guarantee it.
So, so you
That
want
would be about right.
Yeah, it'd be a right for the year, you know, something.
It actually wouldn't rain till we got off, everybody got the.
Okay, random snowstorm, what would end up happening?
So you want it on a Friday, just in case you had severe weather, you push
Move
it
to
to
Saturday.
Saturday. Because if not, you have Saturday, you're pushing it to Monday if anything or something, so.
Sunday in other places is the makeup day. If you missed your graduation turn, it is Sunday, but if we set it late, does it usually rain late, or does it rain earlier in the day? Or does it matter, day and night?
Doesn't matter.
So you're okay with us moving the date to June?
Guess we're deciding now, right? So,
Which day do you want, 12th, 19th, 26th?
I don't think we go too far.
So the week of the 19th would be Father's Day weekend, it's the only thing, so you still gonna have people traveling that weekend.
Yeah.
Which if you combine both, that's probably not a bad idea.
Did the kids mention a date, Mr. Bowers?
Yes, I asked, how late, and they just said the end of June. They wouldn't want to go into July. So latest was June 26th.
I think there's some logic in what Max is saying about the 12th, if issues do happen from that track. But that they're saying 14 days and everything, really find out.
Yeah.
19th is within that.
So if everyone's choosing the 12th, it would be a safe one because not everybody's mingled as much, maybe, I don't know. And I also feel like if we drag it on too far, we need closure for the year.
Yeah.
So
You
we
do.
can,
Yep.
you know, but
I'm good with the 12th. If y'all wanna push, I'm good with the 12th.
you like the 19th? You like the 19th?
I'm good with anything.
I like the 19th.
You like the 19th?
Goodbye, son.
I just need to know when to take vacation. I'm working weekends all June, so I just need to know. It doesn't matter to me. I can go either way. Any day. Any day is fine. So June. I guess we just say June.
We should
Right.
pick a date, we should pick.
I agree, let's pick a day.
Okay.
Let's go with the 12th.
Make a motion.
The 12th?
Making a motion?
Oh, we're out.
This is not a.
This isn't a voting item. It's just the information. So.
Just discussion.
Yes. So we
My concern is, I want everybody, I want the adults to know what's expected of them.
Yes.
To know, you know, these are the regs, you know, we're doing this, we're having to follow these guidelines because, yeah, now your job is to follow them, you know. Let's all be,
And having the
you know, on the
class
same
officers
page.
go too.
you know, because that's what I'm afraid of. If you're gonna go up there and check somebody's temperature and it's high, and you've gotta tell him, I'm sorry, sir, but you can't, and it's apparent.
Yeah. They have to know.
You know, they're gonna, what do you mean I can't go in? You know, that kind of thing.
And that's part of why we need to get communication out.
Right.
And, you know, the basic district letter, here are the guidelines, and then continue to inform parents repeatedly, because then they get escorted out and, you know, they've lost out.
And it kind of ruins it, it ruins a whole,
I would put,
you know.
honestly, I put a video out. People don't like to read. Put a video out, 2 to 3 minute video explaining what the things are. Mr. Bowers, yourself, Benji, John.
Right.
One of these handsome looking guys over here. Just kind of.
Or the class officers, they'll
Yeah.
take it,
Or
they'll
the
take
class
meaning,
officers,
yeah,
yeah,
they'll
there
take
you go.
meaning from the kids.
Have them,
This
these
is
are the rules.
important.
Knowing not to ruin their day.
I mean, really, videos is what
Oh, yeah.
captures everybody. I mean, put a letter out, obviously, but
No, I think that'd be neat, if class officers lay out the rules.
Yeah, I had to backtrack, but, as I was thinking about it, do we have any young men or women going into services?
We do have one, don't we? Yes.
Not that's,
Not that.
not that's not it.
Okay.
it's not gonna affect the, pushing to June is not gonna affect the ship off date.
That's what I'm worried about.
I have to check this.
Okay.
Most of them go in like September, don't they, in August, and they
Well,
go
it
later in the
depends.
summer.
It just depends how far over they sound.
Weather slide in.
Yeah. Usually it's based, well, in the Air Force it's based on jobs now. You book a job when you get there and stuff like that, so it's just.
So that would change my mind. If we had a young man or lady, leaving for the services on the first or second of June, I'd want to keep it on 29. That's what would change it.
So we have to get that information as.
They throw curveballs.
Yeah, right.
No, you're right, I mean, we need to.
I don't think they'd
that's-
be, I don't think they'd be leaving that soon, but I mean, you never know. I mean, you
Do
never
we know who they are? Can we get a hold of them, Freddie?
Yes.
All right. Probably move on, circle back to them.
No, it's a valid point. Good point.
Okay. Well, thank you for that.
Okay, any other discussion? Any other questions? Okay, item D, discussion regarding operations of Odem Pool. Mrs. Carr.
Just asking for your input. Again, we hear different communities opening their pools. Most of them are city pools, they're not school pools, so just kind of giving, the community has asked. You know, we've spoken to Coach Ray. That's also something that if it's going to open, she needs to get lifeguards trained, you know,
I
the
say to be
community-
closed.
I'll leave it closed. Many of the community were just mostly for aerobics is what they were asking. We've refunded money for parties that we had established, but, you know, just wanted your input on that, if you had any understanding.
What is the CDC guidelines on pools? I know Corpus was opening their pools this week.
Yeah, lap pools and, exercise. I think you have to limit the capacity
So
and,
be dressed in no locker rooms. I just saw it right away in. So no locker rooms, you gotta be dressed to swim. Lap swim is by appointment. It's not just, hey, we're having lap swim from 3 to 4.
Gotcha.
It's,
Right. And there's a 15-minute break in between the appointments.
yeah.
And you couldn't use any facilities. You go in, you come out.
Well, that's bad for a pool. Where are people gonna go?
I say we go at least July to even consider it
okay. So
after
maybe just-
graduation.
That's
Yeah,
a
that's-
tough one. I don't know how anybody's opening a pool.
Yeah. Chlorine disinfectant, I guess.
Well, we think about
Keep the
CPR
chlorine levels high.
That's the thing. You have to perform CPR.
Yeah, that's the other part, the infection control part is
Or
CPR.
lifeguard,
Yes.
arms on it.
Yeah, exactly right.
And they have those mouth coverings or anything like that, but, I mean, most of the lifeguards would be our students, so
Right.
that puts them at risk.
They have CPR masks though.
Yeah, but you're pulling somebody out of the pool or drilling a hole.
You're not gonna go look for it.
Mhm.
Well, they keep them, most of them keep them on
On their
their side of
lanyard.
their babysitter lanyards or mask that covers the person's mouth. That's been kind of a standard issue for a while. I don't know if we use them, but that's.
Yes, okay, all right, thank you for that.
Okay, item E, discussion and possible action, consider approving the revised 2020-2021 school district academic calendar.
Okay, the last time I brought this to you, spring break, which is that second week in March, was reflected on the 15th through the 19th, and that did not line up with Del Mar. And so we've adjusted it to line up with Del Mar and the rest of Region 2. That way our kids get a break from the college dual credit on that. And I just need approval on the revision. Jacob?
So moved.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Wiley, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Brewer. Any other discussion?
Kind of discussion, kind of fits in there. So when we do these, we vote on the calendar, we say it's a vote. When we change the graduation, that's from the calendar. That's why I was thinking it was a vote earlier.
Oh, to change
Oh,
graduation.
it's about, yeah, you're adjusting the calendar,
Yeah.
right? Well, is that really the calendar though?
But under the resolution that.
Because of COVID? Because this is for next year.
Right, but in general, right now, we were saying, hey, graduation's on this date. But if it's COVID stuff,
Yeah.
that's cool, I'm fine with that. I just want to be real, I just want to be
Yes,
right.
yes, it was covered under the resolution.
resolution.
Okay.
It included calendar.
Okay.
Good question, Mitch.
Fair enough.
No, good question.
Okay, all those, did we vote?
Let me vote.
Okay. Yeah, that was the discussion. All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. Item F, business matters including standard monthly financial reports for April 2020, cash flow analysis, and update on projects.
No,
Okay.
she's not. I'm gonna fill in for her, try to do as good a job as she does. First of all, on page 17, Tony wanted me to point out, under expenditures, code 21, instructional development, that account, is almost all spent. That is special ed, and, really, that's a product of us not having a speech therapist on staff, and we've had to contract, and that's been pretty expensive. We have hired one since, so we should be able, we should be better as far as our expenses are next year. It's not quite maxed out, but it's getting close. Another one was under 52 where it says security and monitoring on that same page, services. We budgeted 20,500 and we've spent 34,000. That is due to the cleaning we did after our employee was positive, okay? Again, those, we'll file for reimbursement from FEMA, try to get the amount reimbursed. There's no guarantee on that, but we sure will try to get that reimbursed, but that does show to be 168% spent, because it's gone over. At the end of the year in September and October, I'm sorry, August, she will do an amendment to cover these. Do you have any questions on any of the others?
So I guess at this point, it should be somewhere around the 60, 75% or 70%?
Yes. And, you know, they're running a little low, but mostly it's because kids are home.
Right.
Okay. On page 18, you will see our expenses for our meal program. Okay. You adopted a budget that was $60,000 budget deficit, correct? But we are currently at 70, and that has to do with the meal reimbursements that we didn't plan for. We've applied, we're gonna get the funding. It's just a matter of getting it in. And so it truly should be 60,000. It's just the way it rolls in, it looks like we've exceeded our deficit by 10,000, but when they reimburse for the additional services we're providing on meals, then it breaks even. At least we had. And then she had on page 20, if you'll notice, she opened up the budget at the very top, the code 180, the fund 180 that she mentioned last month, putting some money in for COVID expenses. So far, we've spent $26,000 and encumbered $8,700. You know, we didn't order any extra stuff, so we shouldn't use all that money. That's there, but that's another one she'll need to make an amendment and wait for reimbursement on some of that. And again, if you look at the 240s, that 70,000 that was on the other page, on page 18, resurfaces, where it shows that we've overspent in that area, but they're two of the same. Let me see what else she had. If you have any questions, ask me. She wanted me to update you on the press box. It has a roof on it, correct? Press box? Yes.
Yeah.
With the softball?
Yes, the
Has a roof.
softball press box. I don't know if it has windows in it yet or anything like that.
So it's got
It
doors.
does.
It
Yeah,
does
it's got
doors?
the roof, the
Okay.
door.
Okay, so it's nearing completion. She says it's lacking 3 windows and a door and the roof, but I haven't been out there
That
since
may have
Friday.
been old, yeah, so, because there's
Right.
doors on it now.
Yeah.
Okay. It's kind of talked about that, do we have any timetable on the light pole?
No, actually, Coach Huerta was getting estimates. I think we're gonna have to replace all of them because once you update one, you have
Oh,
to
they've gotta be metal.
update, yes. And so it was a wooden pole and now we have to update,
It's amazing it is.
so.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Better be lucky than good.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's happening this year.
Yeah.
So it brings it up to par with the baseball.
Is that
and
insurance though?
stadium.
Is that insurance, is it gonna be an insurance claim?
She did file a claim and we'll have to see if they pay anything on that, but we still have to pay for the 4 poles instead of just the one that fell. Luckily, it didn't land on anything. I didn't want to
Yeah.
notice. It was surprised it didn't hit anything. But did you have any questions? I can get with Tanya. She can. It's been really slow. But principals are starting to order what they need for next year. On that budget. That's all I have.
Are we starting to trim that a little bit as far as,
I'm sorry.
we're starting to trim that budget a little bit, kind of ease back, kind
Yes.
of rein it in a little bit
Yes.
for next year?
We've cut off spending other than, them ordering supplies to start out the next year, so we've pretty much spent all the big ticket items.
Okay. Item G, discussion of possible action to consider adopting a resolution of Lodge Association or 31 other similar organization, changes and authorization of signatures for the First State Bank of Odem and other documents for Odem-Edroy ISD to include keeping the same powers granted previously to authorize signees. Well, since we're not reorganizing the board officers, we really don't need to change anything here.
So Janie will remain.
Yeah. Okay, item H, discussion of possible action to consider approving the non-renewal of teacher contract for the 2020-2021 school year as recommended.
Okay. We don't have a non-renewal.
Good. Easy enough. All right, item I. New teacher employee hires for the 2020-2021 school year as recommended.
Okay, I wanted to update you on, the intermediate hired Robin Reininger, Brooke Sorrells. Ms. Kishnick hired, speech therapist, Blanca Moncado. And then the elementary hired Amber Laurel as a kindergarten teacher. Amber,
Awesome.
she's one of our,
Both of Brooke and Amber both graduated together.
I think,
That's exciting.
That's great.
Both great kids.
yeah, one will be an
Amber.
intermediate, the other one now.
Oh, they're all graduates?
They both graduated with my son.
Did they graduate with paint?
Yeah, both of them did. But I tell you, Amber, both of them, I love those girls to death. They're both great. But Amber had a goal in her life was to figure out how to get to Texas A&M and graduate from Texas A&M, and she did that. She went to Kingsville and worked her way through. And very proud of both of them. And I think they'll be great additions. And if they're not, we know their parents, right?
Yes.
Okay, item J, resignation of employees. We have one, right?
We have, the resignation that's in here, Coach going to Goliad, closer to family, and then we have Mrs. Gomez who's retiring. And then, if you recall, we had 2 employees who were pending test. And so, they haven't tested yet, they've resigned, and so if they're successful, we can rehire them, okay? And so, but that at least keeps us in compliance, so. And so we have, an opening at the junior high, right? Or one at the high school, chemistry or science. I think that's it. Oh, and the 2 ladies, hopefully they'll pass next week and we'll rehire them.
Okay, item K, discussion and possible action to consider the proposed amendment to current Odem-Edroy ISD District Innovation Plan.
I put a proposed amendment, a copy of this on your table. We are limited to who we can get insurance quotes from, for our health insurance. And through our District of Innovation, we can ask to be exempt from that, and then allows us to go out for bids from other insurance companies to see if we can get better rates and coverage for our employees. And in turn, it saves the school some money on what we're paying out individually for it. A lot of our teachers don't carry insurance, it's extremely expensive. And so, the District of Innovation met, voted, to bring this proposal forward. If you approve it, we post it on the website for any comment, and then next month we come in and you vote again for final approval. At that time, we send it in to the commissioner to add it, and then we update what's on file as our District of Innovation. So we're just limited. Insurance premiums are extremely high for our employees, and the coverage isn't wonderful. And so if we can see if we can get a better rate for them.
Okay, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Brewer, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Max Moreno. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay. Item L, change in board meeting time and date for June and July 2020.
So on the schedule, we show a noon meeting for June and July board meetings. Are those times still good? I know that some of you have job restrictions that, do you still want to keep those, or do you want to move them to the evening like the others?
I'm okay either way.
Either way.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Yeah, either way, it's fine.
So,
Yeah, I think we're okay.
So we're gonna keep,
Keep them the
noon?
Correct times, yeah.
And what was the time then?
At
12?
noon.
At noon?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
June 8th and July 27th at noon. Then August goes back to 6:30.
Okay.
So that, those miss y'all's 2 weeks out, right? Would that make y'all come back another 2 weeks?
No,
Yeah,
no.
missing them.
Okay, item M, future agenda topics. Okay, we've got 1, 2 that were brought up in public comments. I think we are currently doing that, correct? Where we are doing the GPA audits as soon as they get to high school, as freshmen, sophomore, juniors, and seniors
Yes.
Go
throughout
on
the year.
and talk about it. If y'all feel like it, do you feel like?
What's up?
You
It
put on-
was discussed pretty thoroughly.
Yeah,
Oh.
I don't think it'll hurt. We
Oh,
can- Yeah, we can,
we're good.
I mean, how do y'all feel? It's up to y'all. It's something that's all right.
Should be fine.
Okay, anything else you guys wanna see on the agenda for the next meeting?
I'm guessing graduation's gonna be on there? Right, that's,
Well, it's gonna, yeah, we'll be on there. What date is that next
I
week?
think graduation, I also think pool should be on there every month.
Yeah, kind of
What
figure out
should-
what
pool?
we're, figure out what we want.
Oh,
Discussion.
yeah,
Okay.
We really want to open up when we can.
Sure.
So we need to talk about it.
Track would be the other, I guess it's just the outdoor facilities, the track should be the other one as well too, right? Hoping to wrap that back up.
I think we ought to have a kind of a COVID update type
Yeah.
presentation on all facilities and stuff throughout the summer,
Okay.
just for public record,
Yeah.
kind of.
Oh, where are we at on the gym? The old gym? Maybe that's something to put for next time around.
Oh, did that kind of come to a standstill with everything?
Yes, I think we need to get back to our committee of architect or engineering. As well, in the gym. Anything else?
Okay. Item N, discussion regarding chapter 313 application LL Dagon Alto Wind Farm LLC. Mr. Seaboy?
This is Eddie Perez. He's with Walsh and Gallegos, so he's representing the board. He's been patient.
Oh, you're our guy.
Yes, yes, yes. Come join us. Sure.
Is he here?
I thought you guys want to get out there.
Eddie, I'll let you have a seat now. Hi there, how are you?
Good evening. I have guys that put on that on it, I was doing one last week.
However you're comfortable.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. thanks so much for agreeing to meet with us today. We do have some packets that we'd like to pass out, if that'd be all right with you.
You don't mind? You've got it. Thank you.
It's in the PowerPoint too. Were you able to get that? But if not, we can go straight on the packet itself. It's okay. I said it last evening, so it's not a big deal. Thank you all for this. Superintendent and members of the board, thank you so much for agreeing to meet with us this evening. My name is Michael Sabori. I work for RWE Renewables, formerly Eon Climate Renewables, which I'm sure that name rings a bell. Brandon and I are two developers working on a project here in your county called El Algodón Alto. And we appreciate the time today to discuss the possibility of you accepting our 313 application. So if you could, I have the slide deck here that I would typically use via PowerPoint. If you could follow along, that would be fantastic. So I always like to start off every presentation just kind of giving a high-level overview and agenda of where I'd like to go from A to Z. This particular presentation, we'll just start out with introductions, give you a little background about our company, myself and Brandon. And then focus in on what we're here to discuss today, right? What's the purpose of us meeting? Make sure that our reason for being here, and more importantly, your reason for listening to us is quite clear. That's the most important thing. What are we trying to achieve by meeting today? Give you a brief project overview of the wind project we're looking to hopefully build in your county, some of the benefits that will bring, and then of course, where we are in the process and where we hope to be over the next couple months. Then we'll open it up to questions. I'm sure you all have some questions for us as well. So next slide, please. So again, Brandon Hernandez and I both work for a company called RWE Renewables. RWE Renewables is a result of the merger between RWE, Eon Climate Renewables, and Energy. As a result, what was formerly Eon Climate Renewables, now RWE Renewables, is the fourth largest developer and operator of renewable assets in the world. As you can see from the slide, we're not limited to just the renewable platform. We do have a strong basis in coal, lignite, nuclear, and gas as well. So we're a full service energy company. The scope of our business and what we're here discussing with you today is the renewable aspect of it, more specifically wind. Next slide, please. So this is an excellent example of some of the success that we've had in the past. Our company runs over 5,400 megawatts. We have over 5,400 of existing megawatts of capacity across the world. Of those assets, predominantly the majority of them are located here in the United States as a result of the Eon Climate Renewables. If we drop down in scope even further, the majority of those assets are located in Texas. So we have 23 operating projects, 19 of which are in the state of Texas, and we have 2 just right around the corner from here, Papalote Creek 1 and Papalote Creek 2. We've been overwhelmingly successful with coastal projects. This would be hopefully the same effect, which is why we're meeting with you today. Next slide. So let's talk about the purpose of what we're here to discuss today. We asked to be placed on your agenda so that we could submit a Chapter 313 tax value limitation application. We're here today not asking you to approve the application. We're simply here asking for you to accept the application so that the comptroller can do additional studies and diligence to provide you with a report as to whether or not this is feasible for your particular school district. RWE Renewables we brought the application and a check with us. It cost us $75,000 just to move forward with this process. But it does offer an independent review by the comptroller to tell you whether or not this project's beneficial for your community. We obviously think it is, but this is the way for you to get an independent third-party review, get an idea of what exactly this entails, the dollars and cents that will be placed into your school district. Next slide. So the project itself is named El Algodón Alto, which is very apropos for this particular region. You know, a lot of the cotton across the United States comes for this particular region, so we felt it was a great, fantastic name for a wind project. As a lot of the participants, landowners in the project are farmers. As you can see, this is a general outline of the project itself. It encompasses 3 separate school districts, one of which being Odem-Edroy, the Mathis Independent School District, as well as Centon. To give you a general idea of where we are in the 313 process, we've received an acceptance for review for the Mathis Independent School District on the 27th. We're meeting with you all this evening, hopefully for you to be able to accept it so the comptroller can review it. We plan to meet with Centon next Monday, and we're on their agenda as well. In the meantime, we've been in active contact with the county as well. Judge Krebs has been welcoming, to say the least. We have a meeting this Thursday to discuss a 312 abatement with the county as well as a road use agreement. So overall, a very welcoming atmosphere within the county. You know, we do have 2 projects in the area. This is not new hat for us. We're excited to be here and to continue to build relationships within the community. Next slide. So specifically, what size project are we looking to build? Well, the project's going to be roughly 200 megawatts, 200.2 to be exact. I'm sure you're asking yourself, what does that mean? So at full capacity, a project like this can power 150 to 200,000 homes. Okay. The unique aspect of this is the small footprint that it takes up. So we are going to use 91 Vestas V120 and V110 turbines, 91. So keep in mind, each turbine itself only takes up roughly a little less than an acre. So we're able to power 200,000 homes with a 91 acre footprint. Pretty amazing, pretty unique. An excellent way to go hand in hand with what people in the area are doing, which is farming. With such a small footprint, it really allows people to continue what they're doing. It's a match made in heaven. We have done roughly 8 years of wind studies. I don't have to convince you how windy it is in this general area. It's excellent for wind projects. That's why you see them popping up all over the place. Transmission studies are positive in the area. And we hope, given the meetings that we're having with you all, that we're able to build this project sometime in 2021. A big part of that is running financial diligence, and being able to have an abatement from the school district is something that's necessary for us to push past the financial assessment. Next slide. So what are we looking for when we're starting a wind project? There are 3 real main consistent factors that come to mind. You have to have wind, right? That's the dumb guy in the room answer. That's typically my answer. I raise my hand. You need wind to be able to build a wind project. 2, you need transmission. And 3, you need willing participants, right? All 3 of those things exist in this particular county. But more importantly, you need to have a relationship with county officials, which is why we're here today. We do not want to invest $250 to $300 million in an area where we're not wanted. So this is a first step in many to get you acclimated to what we're trying to do, make you feel a little more comfortable with what we would like to do, and really, ultimately, it comes down to your approvals, right? In order for us to be able to build these wind projects, you know, we need these abatements. So this is a step in many to hopefully make you realize the value that we do offer, the value that we can bring to the community, and the value that a project like this could bring. Next slide. So why are we here tonight meeting? What's the local economic impact? Well, you know, I just mentioned to you it's roughly a $250 to $300 million construction project. What does that do? Well, right off the bat, it's going to have a long-term increase on your local tax base. Who's one of the largest benefactors of that? Your school district, right? We have an independent third-party group called K.E. Andrews. They're our tax advisors. I had them do a quick valuation on what the district could expect to receive as a result of, let's say, for instance, you decide to approve our application. What's just the tax value that you expect to receive over the 10-year limitation, right? $4.9 million, roughly, right? That's just the taxes based off of the limitation. That's not including the recapture payment, and that's not including supplemental payments on top of that. So the number would inflate. Extreme value added to school districts, and that should give you a general understanding of what the value would look like over the first 10 years of the project. Another important economic impact are the 200 to 300 part-time construction jobs that are placed as a result of building the project. Construction typically lasts 10 to 12 months. As a result of that, we have 200 to 300 construction workers in the area who need to be fed, who need to sleep, who need to drink. A huge trickle-down effect in the local area. All of our projects, we like to build relationships internally with local folks. We hold a job fair, typically 6 months before construction starts. And a lot of those jobs are preferred to be filled by the local community. Another economic benefit is the extension of supplies and services sourced by the local community. Papalote Creek Wind Farm, just as an example, when they were in the process of procuring certain assets, $7 million were procured from San Patricio County alone. Local businesses, $7 million. That's a huge effect on a local community. And then, of course, the creation of full-time jobs. Right? This is not your first rodeo with wind farms. You know that there are full-time jobs created. What we're willing to guarantee you is what all wind companies are willing to guarantee you, which is 5 full-time jobs for the 91 turbines that need to be maintained and operated over 30 years. Now, this is spread across 3 different school districts. So the jobs that we would dedicate to the Odem-Edroy School District would be 2. There would be 2 dedicated to Mathis and 1 to 7, but 5 overall, and that's the minimum threshold. Meaning we would hope to be able to add more, but at this stage, we would prefer to make sure that the promises we're making we're able to keep. So at this stage, 5 jobs, 5 permanent jobs, 5 fantastically paying jobs will be offered to the community. Next slide, please. So all that said, where are we today in the process? Well, we've been developing this project since back in 2014. Okay? We're somewhere towards the end of the development stage. We're hoping to go into construction with the project. We're at the final leg of the development stage, obtaining permits such as these to be able to move forward. But in order to build the project, the 313 abatements, you need to approve them. We've never built a project without a 313 abatement. That's where we stand right now. That's why we're here to try to get you acclimated to where we're trying to go with the project and what the financials look to the school district. Next slide. This is an example of the construction time frame. If you've driven up near the Mathis area, you've probably noticed that the construction is it's a very unique process. There's a lot that's done. The ground is interrupted. Large cranes are brought in. Large turbine pieces are brought in. If you look at the top slide, top left, and work your way to the right, you see them digging and filling the foundation. Ultimately, what the foundation ends up being, then bringing in the crane components, and then showing how the crane lifts up the different turbine components and eventually the blades. It's a pretty unique process. Next slide. And then after construction, of course, everything returns to normal. People are able to farm, life goes on. It's just now we have an asset that's able to capture the wind resource that's in your backyard. Next slide. So in summary, again, our purpose today is just to get you acclimated to what we're trying to do in the county. We would ask for you to accept our application. Some reasons why you would accept our application in summary are the positive long-term effect on your local schools, the minimal impact to farming and cattle operations, the ability for people to continue to farm in the area, the creation of the 5 full-time jobs we discussed, a significant spike in the local economy during construction, and of course, something that we haven't really discussed today is the long-term stable cash flows that a lot of your neighbors will be obtaining by this project being built. And there are a lot of people in the farming community who are depending on us being able to push this project across the finish line. We have every intention on trying to do that. It starts tonight. I thank you for your time, and I hope that if you have questions, more than happy to answer them.
After the 10-year abatement,
Yes, sir.
how does our district benefit from the taxes? Yes, my understanding, this has been a while, but essentially we will receive the only taxes we will recruit from the windmills at that time is for our bond indebtedness. Is that correct?
I do. Because of the COVID situation, I'll be honest, Mr. Wiley, I'll let you know that I had every intention of being able to bring our tax advisor with us, but because of the COVID situation, they weren't able to come down. I'm more than happy to make a quick telephone call to get our tax advisor on the phone to answer that. But as a developer, it's outside my scope. I don't know exactly what happens after the 10 years with regards to bonds that are in existence, but more than happy to get someone on the phone or supplement you with an answer after our conversation today.
Well, I guess curious, because my understanding, we give the, cut to the chase. You get the tax abatement.
Yes, sir.
A certain amount is paid to the district
Yes, sir.
directly for the abatement.
Yes, sir.
After year 10,
Yes, sir.
the abatement is no longer there, so the district does not get any of those tax dollars, they go to the state. And my understanding is that the tax dollars that the district receives is only on bond indebtedness, meaning not our general fund, but our God, the term escapes me. It's called whatever funds our bonds. The interest and sinking.
My understanding, sir, and I'll speak with reservation because I'm
Understand.
not a tax accountant, but my understanding is that following the 10-year abatement, in the packet that I gave you, there's a factoid sheet that shows different valuations of what we expect the property evaluations to be of the project itself, and showing just a general estimate of what the property valuation will be. And you would still capture your typical portion or whatever the property taxes were that were pulled from the valuation of the project itself. It's just that it wouldn't be based on the limitation value, it would now be based on what the full value of the project is. So instead of being taxed at $20 million, which is the maximum threshold that we have during the limitation period, the actual asset itself will then be taxed at, let's say, $40 million, right? And then whatever of that amount is typically allocated towards a school district, you still maintain. My advice would be to, when you go into closed session.
Yeah, and that's what we're doing here.
Yes,
I mean,
sir.
that's why we're doing this, and we're gonna get that information back.
Yes, sir.
I mean, we're approving, to accept the paperwork for the abatement. We're not essentially approving the abatement tonight, is that correct?
That's correct. There's no obligation after accepting the application to make any kind of.
Sure. I just want to make sure that everybody, because not everybody was here the last time.
Oh, yes, sir.
And that everybody understands, because one of the rubs I have, and I'm for progress, believe me, I got lots of friends that are gonna be, I want to see these things happen. I do have heartburn that you guys are currently suing the county for tax evaluation. And so you're asking for, if you win your suit, we as this district are gonna have to pay you some money back. And that gives me a little heartburn that you're here asking for abatement while you're suing us over here. And I'll finish and you say what you need to say. But one of the things I noticed, and correct me if I'm wrong, but in that suit, most of the time when people sue for the tax disagreement, which, hey, believe me, I protest my taxes too, so you have that right, and I'm very proud of that right.
Yes, sir.
But most people do not ask for their interest back money too.
Okay.
And I believe y'all are suing for the principal and interest, and that's kind of unusual.
Well, I mean, I would be more than happy to clarify that. That's not my understanding of it. However, just like you had said, as any tax-paying citizen, we have the right to question our valuations, right? In this particular instance, and again, let me caveat with, we have never once sued a county. Never once sued a county over valuations. This would be the first time ever. An independent third party did an evaluation of our project, came back with less than half of the evaluation that was given by the appraisal district. So again, as much respect to the county as can be.
Sure, absolutely.
No disrespect meant at all, but just like any, the rights that we all maintain as tax-paying individuals, whether it's a corporate entity or an individual, we're trying to pursue our right to maintain a reasonable valuation. And unfortunately, it's come to this stage, but what I can tell you, I did get notification that we'll be in mediation on July the 30th, and we anticipate coming to a reasonable solution. But I do hope that you will give us the courtesy of understanding that if this same instance, if something like this happened to you, just like you said, Mr. Wiley, if you bought a home for $250,000 today, tomorrow it's valued at $500,000, or you had a valuation come in at your house that's less than half of what the government's telling you it's worth, you'd follow the same course of action. And it's unfortunate, especially from my perspective as a developer, right?
It's unfortunate for me to vote for this when I know you're turning suing too, you know, that's
Yes,
the give and take, you know, because I gotta look for the taxpayers in the district as a whole.
And what I hope comes from all this is that today we decide that decisions don't need to be made tonight, right? We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna make sure that we do our diligence. You make the right decision for the school district. Give us an opportunity to show you that there's value here. You'll see what comes back from the comptroller. Hopefully by that time, you know, the people who are inside courtrooms doing the mediation are handshaking and we don't have to talk about this anymore. But I do know that there is a significant lag between acceptance and when you actually receive information back from the comptroller. It'll give us all the necessary time to make sure that we're doing what's best for everybody in the room. But like I said, this is the first step of many, so I do hope that you give us the benefit of the doubt this evening, accept the application so that it can be reviewed by the comptroller. We'll pay for the evaluation done by the comptroller, and then later on, months from now, we can circle back and have another discussion with some actual hard figures to make sure that it's the right thing for your particular school district to do.
Just from a procedural standpoint, if the board votes to accept an application tonight, we'll have about 5 to 6 months to run those numbers. The comptroller will run those financial
That's correct, sir.
figures. On the legal side, we're gonna run the legal traps for y'all, draft an agreement. That's gonna come back to the board for final approval.
And then we can have a better idea of what we're giving up after 10 years and have a little bit.
Exactly.
Yes,
Even beyond the comptroller's analysis, the district, part of what the fee that the company is paying today is going toward is to have an independent financial consultant for the school district that will run a complete financial analysis and give the best available projections. So by the time this comes back to the board, you'll have a full picture on the legal side, on the financial side, and then on top of that, you'll have an analysis from the comptroller. If the comptroller makes a determination that this is not in the interest of the state of Texas, they will not certify the project and we cannot proceed. So we'll get the green light from the comptroller before we ever come back. So rest assured that the next couple of months will be action-packed. There's gonna be a lot of back and forth. The comptroller's gonna be running their numbers, we're gonna run our numbers, and so you'll have a full picture in front of you before you vote on a final agreement.
One more quick question. We've actually, if my memory serves me correctly, already approved the 313 for this project. Why are we doing this again?
Yeah, that's an excellent question, and believe it or not, Mr. Watley, that was my 8th day on the job with the Unplanned Revenues, and I remember you were presiding over that meeting. It's an excellent question. A lot of things pop up that prevent us from building $300 million construction projects. This particular project was to be placed on the Welders family land, roughly a little south of where we're sitting today. And there were some environmental concerns that were brought up with regards to wetland issues. Additionally, there is some legislation that was passed that also prevents us from seeking abatements within a 25 nautical mile radius of a military installation. That combined with the risk of the environmental impact made the project, it wasn't feasible for us to move forward.
Okay, just curious.
But I can tell you this, for this particular project, we have made sure to keep all of our infrastructure outside of the nautical mile radius, so as to not conflict with any current legislation that would prevent us from being able to obtain the abatement. A little history, but that is funny. That's 8th day on the job.
Thanks, sorry. I was probably the same way that day as I was today.
No, I appreciate it, Mr. Wallace.
You said it earlier, I just want to make sure, just like Mr. Watley said, we will not be on the hook for that 75,000 like last time, right? For that to push forward this.
Yeah, it never advanced
right?
anywhere. They never paid us, and it never advanced. If they don't pay us, we're not doing anything.
I have a $75,000 check in the application right here. I'm more than happy to.
The comptroller will not consider an application complete unless there's evidence of that check, so.
Yeah.
They rarely trust me with dollar figures, but this is a check, so we're good.
Okay, so going into closed session, right? $7:55. Okay, we're back in closed session, 8:35. Do I have a motion to consider initial review of the application for approved value limitation on qualified properties submitted 44 pursuant to Texas Chapter Code 313 by Odem-Edroy ISD LLC, and authorize the superintendent to engage consultants for review of application?
I move the board authorize the application submitted by El Algodon Alto Wind Farm LLC under chapter 313 of the Texas Code. Authorize the superintendent to engage Colwell Consulting as a financial consultant and Walsh Gales Trevino Russo Kyle as legal counsel, and proceed with action pursuant to the district policy CCGB local. Further move the board authorize the superintendent to extend the 150-day deadline for approval of an agreement if she determines it is the best interest of the district.
Motion made by Mr. Wiley, do I have a second?
Second.
Second made by Mr. Brewer. Is there any other discussion? Okay, there's no other discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. And that, folks, we are done.
We adjourn.
Thank you guys, thank you everyone.